Hello and welcome to my review of the Necron Lord. Now the reason I'm doing a review of the Lord is because I've technically done a review of the Overlord, and that was the one with the big war scythe. This model, you can get a slight variation of this model from Games Workshop individually for £9.50. Quite an old model, and it's resin, you know, it's fine cast, but this particular model you can get it with the Annihilation barge, which is right here. If you don't create this model as a command barge, you can put the Lord on a base and have him as a Lord or an Overlord, whichever you wish to do. So this particular model comes with the Annihilation barge, which will cost you £22.50, but you get the Annihilation barge and the Lord. I think that's a pretty good deal. Or you can get the Annihilation barge in the Start Collecting Necrons box set for £50. So there are a number of ways of getting a Lord or an Overlord, or you know, whatever. So this model, quite straightforward to put together, not many parts, quite limited in poses. I suppose you could move his arm down, holding that resurrection orb, maybe putting the staff further down, maybe even have him holding it up. You can move the head about so he's looking a different way. You can move the torso, you know, pointing the opposite direction too. However you wish to sort of make this Lord or Overlord, you know, it does give you a fair few options. Spare parts, there aren't any, so I'll go straight into the size comparisons. I've got a Necron Immortal here. He is taller than an Immortal, so he's going to tower above a lot of your Necron forces, and even next to a Lich Guard, which is possible sort of bodyguard for him with their invulnerable saves. He's a little bit taller than them too. Next to like Skitarii, which you may see in the Forgebane kit, yeah, definitely much taller than a Skitarii Vanguard. And then finally Space Marine, yep, he towers above even the Emperor's Finest here. And then Primaris, yeah, it's difficult to say really with these two. If anything, the Lord is taller just because of that headdress, but there's not much in it eye contact wise. Just for size comparisons as well, I'll just put a Wraith in there just to show you how big a Necron Wraith is. Wraiths are, you know, one of the biggest models they have, other than like obelisks and things like that. So quite a standard troop sized HQ unit in summary. This is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules. Now, as I said at the start, you can choose to have him as an Overlord or a Lord, but in this case I'll just go through the rules of a Lord. Personally, for every battle I'd always try and opt to use him as an Overlord, just that better ballistic skill and weapon skill, and the you know, extra wound and all the more abilities just seals the deal for me. But you can use him as a Lord if you wish, and if you pick him as a Lord for your Necron force, his power points cost drops to a 5 instead of the 6, and his match play points cost goes down to 73 instead of 84, so you're saving 9 points there match play. You will have to spend money on his weapons. You can give him a Staff of Light, which will cost him 10 points. You can give him a Hyperphase Sword, which is cheap at 3 points, a Void Blade, which is 6, and a War Scythe, which is 11. If you can hear some screaming, I do apologise. It's one of the neighbours. The kids are, you know, extremely excited. I can't really do much about that, I'm afraid. I'll just carry on. So the only weapon that the Lord can't take that the Overlord can is the Void Scythe, which is a whopping 20 points. But they can both take those Resurrection Orbs, which are very useful pieces of war gear, even if they do cost 35 points. They're a lot of points to sink into one piece of war gear. So the Lord's stat line then, his movement is 5 inches, typical for most Necron units. Weapon skill and ballistic skill are both 3+, a strength of 5, toughness of 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 10, and a save of 3+. Single model, armed with a Staff of Light, so your 10 points plus your 73, that's 83 points straight away, and then if you want that Resurrection Orb, you're going to have to pay another 35. So the Staff of Light, which he comes equipped with, it's got a shooting profile and a melee profile. The shooting profile is a range of 12 inch, assault 3, strength 5, AP -2, and damage 1. That's not too shabby. Although it's short range, you do get 3 shots, and you do get strength 5, AP -2. In melee, it's the strength of the user, which is still 5, still AP -2, and damage 1. If you opt to equip him with a hyperphase sword, it's going to be strength +1, so that's good, strength 6. AP -3 though, even better, damage of 1. You can give him a void blade, strength of user, which is 5, AP -3, damage 1, and each time the bearer fights, he can make 1 additional attack with a weapon. So that's good, he's got 3 attacks or base. Or a war scythe, which is strength +2, AP -4, and damage 2. So his strength goes up to 7, AP -4, and a damage of 2. That's the weapon you really want to be going for, the war scythe, if you can. I mean, the void scythe is arguably better because it's damage 3 and it's strength ×2, but you do have to subtract from the hit roll, which is great if you've got the overlord with the void scythe. So plenty of options there. Not the best at shooting because you have to take that staff of light to fire anything basically. And melee wise, he's only getting the 3 attacks, but they're going to be a nice strength and a good AP, whichever weapon you go for. War gear options. As I just mentioned, the model may replace its staff of light with a hyperphase sword, void blade, or war scythe, and the model may take a resurrection orb. Abilities: living metal. So as you should know by now, living metal just means that the unit regains 1 lost wound. You don't need to roll any dice or anything like that. So say he's knocked down to 2 wounds and then you're on the next turn, go straight up to 3. The Lord's Will. Reroll wound rolls of 1 for friendly Dynasty infantry units that are within 6 inches of this model. So he's got kind of a buffing effect there, which will help to reroll those wound rolls of a 1. Resurrection Orb. So this is what this orb does. If the model has a Resurrection Orb once per battle, immediately after you made your reanimation protocols at the beginning of the turn, you can make reanimation protocols rolls for models from a friendly Dynasty infantry unit within 3 inches of this model. Again, I'm not sure whether it's worth those 35 points because it's within 3 inches, it's very specific, you can only use it once, have a chance there of making another roll of the reanimation protocols. Say probably keeping your unit safe and in cover is better than getting a resurrection orb, but hey, it's there if you want an extra kind of go at rolling those. A very specific time to do that. Faction keywords: Necron's Dynasty, Character, Infantry, and Lord. So in summary, it's a nice little model. I think it is a bonus with the Annihilation Barge if you go in that option instead of the Command Barge. It's cool that for £22 or whatever you get 1 miniature on its base that's a completely separate unit and another that's a kind of like a medium-sized unit. I think that's really awesome. And it's also great that you can have him as a Lord or an Overlord, although, to make the best out of him, it's going to be better to have trying to give him a void scythe or war scythe even. As I mentioned before, I would try and take the Overlord just for those extra 9 points because you're getting a better ballistic skill and weapon skill, you're getting 1 more wound, and you're getting that 4+ invulnerable save and access to a void scythe. So there are more benefits of using him as an Overlord, even if you're only limited to equipping him with a Staff of Light. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the Necron Lord. If there is anything that I've missed, please do, as always, put it in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. All hail the machine.